I don't care how cool you think your restaurant is, serve my food on a fucking plate.
I'm going to come straight out and say Coldplay is shit.
Fat men piss me off. At no point before the invention of hot tubs did I go, oh, lads, do you know what would be better? Would be better if we were just all sat in our pants swimming around in each other's filth. Hand jobs are rubbish. Hello, and welcome to the Mildly Controversial podcast. Now, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you will see that I do not, for once, have an elderly man on the other side of this picture. The reason for that is that we're doing things a little bit differently this week. After 42 weeks of bringing you the Mildly Controversial podcast without a single break, despite the fact that Baz has been away for a couple of months, we haven't even needed to resort to a best-of episode. To celebrate that milestone, we are having a best-of episode. We have some of Baz and I's favourite mildly controversial opinions of ours from over the weeks. Some of these date back to even before the podcast was called the Mildly Controversial Podcast. If you're new to the podcast, this will give you a good opportunity to catch up on some of our favourite moments from the last year or so. So without further ado, I will pass you over to me about a year ago. I'm going to say the first 4 words, pause, so that I can let you have a reaction, and then I will go on to the rest of it, okay?
Perfect. Yep, I'm ready.
So,
hit me.
Hand jobs are rubbish. Right?
Yes.
And the short explanation is, as a heterosexual man, I've been at it for 35 years and I'm better at it than you are, and I don't need you here for that.
Yeah.
Right? There's lots of other things, and we don't need to go into detail. There's lots of other things that women, obviously having been with the same one for 20 years, I mean one woman, can do for me. But I've no interest in any woman, including my wife, give me a hand job, because I've been doing it for 35 years and I'm better at it than she is. And that's no offense to my wife.
Yeah.
She doesn't have one, and she's not had as much practice at it as I have.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So what are your thoughts, Baz?
Right. So in general, I'll agree because I've actually been subject to very terrible hand jobs. As a form of gratification, it's probably better than nothing.
It's better than a bourbon biscuit, isn't it? Do you know what? If it's hand job or bourbon biscuit, I'm going. But in fact, if it's hand job or any biscuit, let's be fair. Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
Fox's Crunch Creams are really good. No, let's not get into that. That's not what we're here for, Baz.
See, I think also in that you'll have some men that get defensive and say, "Oh, my missus is dead." I don't know why I put a northern accent on. My missus is dead good at them. Yeah,
she might be.
Yes,
but I'm not being funny. If she's been doing them for 35 years, she's either she was a slag when she was younger, or she's far too old to be touching my parts. Either way, I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? But let's have it right, though. It's it's not like other things that could be done where they go, I'm tremendous at that.
Yeah.
Which is like fair enough, because the difference in quality and ability in other forms of gratification is massive.
Yeah.
There's hand jobs, there's terrible and bang average. That's it. There's nowhere beyond that. You can't invent a new technique that men have not discovered yet. Do you know what I mean? It's not happening.
I want to ask a question then, and it's quite a serious one. Do you think same-sex couples don't have this issue?
I would suggest that if I was a gay man, I may have had some sensational hand jobs.
Yeah, there you go. That's a really good. That would be what I think.
But I am it. But I am open. Do you know what I mean? I'm very broad-minded. And if a bloke who's been doing it for as long as I have wants to come and show me some, wants to come and give me some tips, I'll take it off. I'll take it off someone who's been had as much experience as I have.
I once met a guy that reckoned he used to masturbate 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah. One of my mates, so I think he said his record was 9 in a day.
Blimey.
It's just going to be like, at the end, it's just your 9th one. Not only is your arm almost falling off. You've got cramp right at the end, which must have taken about an hour by the time you're on your 9th. The end of it must have just gone, just air.
If it's not a bloody stump as well by then as well.
I know, yeah. You pulled it off. I think we should probably move on, Baz, because we're getting far too involved in that conversation.
Okay.
So anyway, we've established that there are much better things that you could be doing, love. So crack on with one of the other things that are miles better.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to go for my next one. This is actually, I genuinely believe this. You can have a favourite child.
Yes.
And I mean out of your own children as well.
Yeah.
Well, but in fact, actually, you could probably have a child that you favour outside of your own children if you like them more.
I did a TikTok about that, and I said, like, people say it's not okay to have a favourite child, but, I've got a favourite child. It's just not one of mine.
Exactly. Yeah. But you're quite often met with that answer. No, how could you choose? It's ridiculous. I love them all equally. Do you know what? That's a statement which I get is born out of like trying to be moderate and not upset your children. But on any given day, I'm lucky. I only ever had one child, so I only ever had a favourite one, and she wasn't my favourite child on some days.
So, Baz, let me just clarify. As a father of one child, you're telling me that it's not controversial, or it's controversial, but it's okay to say you've got a favourite child. Well, of course it's okay to say you've got a favourite child if you've only got fucking one. Do you know what I mean? I've got 3. but I will say, like, having a favourite child is okay. It doesn't mean you love the other ones any less.
Exactly.
It just means at that moment in time, you might not like them.
Exactly. There you go.
Do you know what I mean? And I have a favourite child, and it's not the same one all the time.
That is my point as well. Because imagine
it'll vary. And if you say you haven't got a favourite child, you're lying.
Yeah, exactly. You're
one of those people who said having kids is the most amazing thing. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It was like, you've got no personality then.
And you've not done anything.
Yeah, exactly. If the only thing you've done is spawn a child and you've got nothing else of any interest to anybody else, don't approach me at the gate when I'm dropping my kid off for school, because I've got literally fuck all to talk to you about.
I do believe, though, that this very statement itself causes controversy, and I think it's fairly mild. But
I think if you were to stick by your guns and say it's okay to have a permanent favourite child, it would come up with more resistance.
Yeah,
but I think it's more socially acceptable for people to admit, which everybody thinks it, but not everybody admits it.
Exactly.
It is more socially acceptable to admit that at a certain point in time, and it may vary multiple times, even during an hour.
Yeah, there you go.
But it is okay that at any point in time to have a favourite child. It's not just okay, it happens. And if you say it doesn't, you're lying to your kids.
See, I would always put this to people. So you've got 3 children. One of them accidentally sets fire to your house and burns it down to the ground. Is that still one of your favourite 3 children? I don't think so.
I'd be checking to see if the receipt for that kid had survived the fucking fire. I'd have been straight back to the shop with that one.
Exactly.
My next one is quite simple. Hot tubs are shit. Everyone fucking raves about them, right? And everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to get a hot tub. And people are spending 3, 4, 5 grand putting a big fucking bath in their back garden. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just a big fucking, do you know what I mean? You know what's really, really good in the sunshine or in a nice summer's evening is sitting about on like a decking or something like that, having a few drinks and a barbecue, having a few drinks with your mates. That is fucking class, right?
Yeah.
At no point before the invention of hot tubs did I go, oh, lads, do you know what would be better? It would be better if we were just all sat in our pants swimming around in each other's filth.
People who buy their own, like you've just said, have it in their garden. They use it for 3 days of the year, and then the rest of them have it completely covered up. Fucking pointless.
I don't think I've ever been at a party and someone's gone like, oh, should we get in a hot tub? And I've gone, yeah, can't wait. It was like, well, I've got to get my gut out, right? I've got to, because you can't get in with a fucking t-shirt on. Do you know what I mean? Because that draws more attention to the fact that you're body conscious. But it's like, I mean, I really don't want to sit with a bunch of my mates or family in other people's filth.
Yep.
And just kind of, I just don't understand why just sitting around chatting in a chair isn't okay, and you have to get everyone to fucking descend into water and then just go, I need a piss. And listen to me now, right? I wouldn't do it, but there's definitely people who've gone, I can't be asked getting out of here, drying myself off, walking over there. I'll just have a piss. No one's going to notice. So then you're in somebody else's piss.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's like the world's smallest fucking swimming pool, isn't it?
Yeah. And they're filthy as well. I don't mind going in a swimming pool because that's different because you can do loads of stuff in there. Do you know what I mean? Swimming on holiday, brilliant. I don't do much of it because I'd rather, it's a pain in the ass getting dry and that. But, dicking about in the pool with the kids and stuff like that, fine. And I know it's filthy. I don't have a problem with that. But all I'm saying is that the alternative, the alternative to going in the swimming pool on holiday is kids being miserable because they've not gone in the swimming pool. Yeah. The alternative to everybody sitting around in a hot tub at a party is everyone sitting around not in a hot tub at a party.
Yes.
Which is just as good.
So I have this. I've just had this thought. I reckon that when they first came out, it was a sort of like a sign of decadence that you'd have one of these things in your garden. But obviously, every fucking place has one now, don't they? So
it was a sign of decadence until fucking Macro started selling them for like 300 quid. Do you know what I mean? And then every fucker's got one. Fat men piss me off. I do need to explain.
Yes, you should.
Because I'm not fat shaming, right? The reason they piss me off is because I'm jealous.
That's nice.
Bear with me on this one, Baz, right? I'm not talking about like the really fat ones. You know, the ones that are on like Channel 5 getting winched out of the house to go to the doctor.
Yeah, they've got to knock a wall down.
Or they have to wash themselves with a rag on a stick. Not those. Not jealous of them. The ones I'm jealous of, right, is the ones that look normal from the back, but then they turn sideways and look like a capital D.
Oh, is it like all bought?
Do you know what? It's all, but I'm not jealous because they've got that belly. What I'm jealous of is their shameless self-confidence. Let me explain, okay? If you've got a great body and you wear tight t-shirts, you like feel amazing, yeah? If you put on a bit of timber, a bit of middle-aged spread like myself, you've probably got about 4 t-shirts out of 400 that you're happy with yourself in.
Yeah.
But if you go beyond this, there's a group of men that have got fucking massive beer bellies and they are quite happy and quite confident to wear a polo shirt or a t-shirt that looks like fucking body paint and it only covers about 80% of the belly. They do not give a shit.
There you go.
I want to be there. I don't want to be in this middle ground where everything I put on and go, oh, you can see my belly a bit in that. Oh,
yeah, you got your muffin tops. That's it.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? I would love to have the self-confidence and the sheer couldn't give a fuck of the guys. Like I say, like kind of like shaped like an 80s darts player. Just looks normal from behind, and then all of a sudden it turns sideways and you think, whoa, where's that come from? Do you know what I mean? And it's all beer. The only way you can get a body shape like that is all beer, which incidentally is why I'm on Prosecco tonight, because I need to do something about it. Because like I said, I'm just getting a bit of the old middle-aged spread despite doing regular exercise.
Yeah.
And I've got so many shirts, so many t-shirts that I put on and just go, yeah, it's all right while I'm stood up. Oh, but when I sit down, those buttons are going to gape. Not for me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you've got the guys there who have just got these massive bellies. And like I say, their top's not even covering all their belly. It might have done about 15 years ago, but it doesn't anymore.
They're the kind of guys you could tell if they're wearing a belt or not on the jeans.
Do you know what? I don't think they know they're wearing a belt or not because they can't see it.
I always find these. Let's call them guts. Their guts are generally quite solid as well.
Yeah, it's just the sheer not giving a fuck. I want some of that. I've got so many really nice clothes that I'm probably only about 2 or 3 pounds too big in my mind.
There's a really good way to get yourself round that is to Get yourself £1,000 made-to-measure suit, and you'll never, ever, ever get beyond the size that you can wear that suit.
Oh, but Baz, I love food and I love
Yes.
booze. So I'm stuck in this. I'm stuck in this bit where clearly I am a fitness professional by trade. So I know how to get a six pack. I know how to lose half a stone in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I could do it, and I can do it in a healthy way. And it's quicker than I would advise, but I could do it without starving myself. But I don't care enough. Do you know what I mean? I don't care enough to do it. And it's just, if I felt like I do when I try on something, if I'm going out and I think, right, I'll try on, oh, that's a nice shirt, I'll put that on. If I felt like I do in the 30 seconds of having that shirt on permanently, I'd do something about it straight away.
But if you get your bobs out as much as I do in videos, then you soon start to get a bit more self-conscious about it.
I don't think anybody wants to see me with my shirt off on TikTok, mate.
Oh, I think you'd be surprised, Mike.
I can guarantee if I started putting videos of my top off, there would definitely be 0 comments saying "OF?"
Yeah, but I wonder as well as whether you'd get your body confidence from just getting it out all the time.
No, mate. Because do you know what? If I wear the right stuff, I look decent.
Yeah.
In my head, and I'm my worst critic. So
I've bet you.
I look decent in the right stuff, mate. Naked, I look like I'm trapped in a skin-colored sleeping bag. It's not a pretty sight.
I've seen you in your pants. Let's not forget this.
Well, this is getting a little bit more homoerotic than I expected, Baz.
Well, you might not have expected. I certainly did.
You're not ticking, are you, Baz?
Well, I just tried to
got a chum on.
We got a lazy lob round our way, but yes. No, I agree with you. I think there's. So I tend to find that these the guys who talk about are like ex-rugby players. They've kind of always drunk, but when they stop playing as often, everything starts to get a bit larger. But they're not bothered by it, and they just carry on with it.
Nope, they don't give a shit.
There you go.
Yeah, I wish I was they.
Well, if you carry on, you could.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I could quite easily get the belly. I'm just not sure I'd be able to have the blessing of the not giving a shit.
Right. Well, this is our next project then.
Which one? Me getting a massive belly or not giving a shit?
Well, let's go for both.
Not sure the wife's happy with that, to be fair.
I'm going to come straight out and say Coldplay is shit.
See, I'm not sure that's mildly controversial, to be honest.
Judging by their recent gigs, and I've seen a lot of the videos there, and we'll come on to something about that later. They put on a really good show. I'm not going to deny that, but I just can't get around the fact that Chris Martin is a bit of a knob.
Well, see, it's one of those things. It's a really weird thing in that they hold gigs with like 150 quid tickets minimum price, right? And they sell out in about 4 seconds. But also, you do get loads of people saying Coldplay is shit.
Yeah.
My view on it is that Coldplay have written some bangers and some meh.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong feeling about them being shit. But yeah, it is quite a widely held, not a mildly held, a widely held opinion. Yes, it's not a mildly held opinion. So yeah, no, I do get it, but I do. No, see, I wouldn't say they were shit. It's not.
It's a personal opinion at the end of the day, isn't it?
Of course it is, and that's what all of these are, Baz. That's what our whole podcast is about. It's about us having opinions. But look, I mean, I wouldn't say they're shit. It's not my kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't ever sit down and go, right, I'm going to listen to music. Right, I'll listen to some Coldplay. No. But some of their stuff's decent. And I don't even get the Chris Martin thing, because I know a lot of people, including yourself, and I do value your opinion there, Baz.
Thanks.
But loads of people say that Chris Martin's a dick and they don't like him. But
yeah,
I don't know. Well, so here we go, Baz. Right, I'm going to cross-examine you.
Go on.
What is it about Chris Martin that makes you think he's a dick?
So yeah, basically, I think in the beginning when he first started doing things where he had stuff written on his arm and it was all like positive messages about the world, it was a little bit too much, a bit like Bono. Like, I want to save the world.
Don't you just hate these fucking positive people, Baz? I
But it wasn't
can't
so much
stand
that.
it. You know people who just got a really positive outlook on life. Fucking hate them.
It was more the fact that they were just sort of like really popular opinions that he was spouting out, and it always felt a bit like he'd gone, "Oh, what are people liking this week? Let's have a go at that one." And also, he called his daughter Apple.
Look, I don't care if he's named it after the phone or the fruit. That's a fucking stupid name. Do you know what I mean? Look,
It's true.
I love an iPhone. Don't get me wrong, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not going to call your firstborn child by your phone, are you?
No,
Unless you call it Samsung.
Yeah, it's like I'm not. You might get away with that with Malaysian heritage, but
Exactly.
not me.
I'm always wanting to say that, like, I dislike it when people say X people are shit, but because it is just a personal opinion. But the point is, with him, it's like he's a little bit too much, and he's a little bit. Right, let's all save the whales. We should all do stuff. We should all do stuff like that. Like, we don't need to be told to do it.
So, Baz, I want to recap on the two main things that you've pulled out to say why Chris Martin's a dick. Right, one of them is he's got a really positive mindset, and the other one is that he cares for the environment.
Yeah, I'm starting to look a bit like a twat, aren't
I? Maybe on a podcast at this moment, Chris Martin's sitting down and going, "Oh, do you know that Baz Wright? He's a prick, isn't he? He's so miserable.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
All I'm trying to do is spread a bit of positivity and save the fucking planet, and he can't stand it."
I reckon we should move on from Chris Martin. I just feel like I might be wrong on this one.
My next one is stop buying cushions and throws to pile on top of our fucking bed, because 99% of the time that room's either empty or in darkness. What's the fucking point? Why?
It's a bizarre thing, isn't it? It's a really bizarre thing. And I don't, once again, being slightly sexist, I don't think there's many men on the planet that would ever go to somewhere and buy loads of throws and cushions, either for the sofa, for the bed, for the snug. I can't imagine that. I'd love to see what the actual split was on how many men go in and buy stuff from not the range, but those sort of places.
Yeah. Well, last time I did a stock take, Baz, there were 4 pillows on each side of our bed, so that's 8 pillows in total on our bed. There were 4 cushions. No, sorry, 5 cushions. So 2 on each side and then 1 with love written on it in the middle. And a throw and 2 duvets.
Wow.
Right? I have to fucking dig my way into bed. Do you know what I mean? And do you know what? She said before, why have you just thrown them on the floor? It's like, the fuck am I gonna? Where else am I gonna put them? There's nothing better, right? When you've had a tiring day and you think, oh, I'm really tired, I'm gonna go to bed. There's nothing better than just going to bed, climbing into bed, and snuggling down and going to sleep, right? I don't need 5 minutes of fucking digging my way in to be able to get into bed. I don't need that. I don't want it. And like I say, the whole fact that she's like, oh, but it looks nice, doesn't it? It's like, for who? We ain't got a fucking webcam on our bedroom. What? Who's looking at the bedroom? Because we're not in it during the day. And when we're in it, all we do, we go in and go slide all the shit off the bed and climb in it and turn the light off. Well, so what is the point?
All we've got on our bed are 2 cushions and I've got. I just had a go.
Baz, if you're going to tell me you've got a fucking grey bear with a heart on your bed, I'm going to lose my shit.
I think it might be worse, if I'm going to be honest. I've just slagged off Valentine's Day, but a gift I bought for one of our anniversaries is a cushion which says, "Sitting on this sofa since our wedding date, Mr. and Mrs. Wright." Anyway, it's on our bed, so it doesn't quite work with the sofa.
It's Mr. and Mrs. Wrong then, isn't it? Because it's it's not on the sofa.
I'm finding out some things about myself tonight. I might actually disagree with myself quite a bit, but yes. So, but it used to be on the sofa, but it's now on the bed. So, but we also have a throw. How can I describe it? It's a thing called hand knitting. And I'm not having a go at my wife. Our house looks lovely because she's done all these things. You basically knit without needles, but you use your hands to knit. So you end up with, and you use yarn, which is probably about an inch thick, but it's still soft. And you knit with your hands rather than needles. And you end up with a blanket that you can make in 30 seconds, which is like huge knitting. We've got one of those on there. Our bed consists of all these things. So making it involves peeling all these things off the end of the bed and then laying them down, then putting the two cushions on, then the sofa one. It's quite a lot of faff.
Can't be arsed. I don't understand it. It's like putting an obstacle course in your bedroom between you and your bed.
Yeah.
And when you go into your bedroom, you're desperate to get into bed. You don't need fucking Krypton Factor assault course in between you and your bed.
I've got a question for you then. So I've just done a bit of this. So when I stay in a hotel, and you get in a double bed when you're just only you peel back just the corner of the bit that you peel that bit in, get in, flip it over, and in the morning you just peel that corner over and drop it down. There's no brushing out and making it nice.
There's nothing wrong with that, Baz.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with just gaining access to the bed, sleeping, and then exiting the bed.
Why do you even bother making a bed?
I'm with you, Baz.
It's
absolutely with you.
It's madness.
I just and I make our bed for one reason, right?
I know
two reasons. The first reason is, right, I'm always last to get out of it. And the second reason is that the fucking wife wants me to. I couldn't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? And your point before about the hotel bed, right? If I'm in a hotel bed, I'll peel the corner down, I'll get in, I'll put it back, go to sleep. I'll peel the corner back, get out. I'll leave it like that, so that when I get in, I don't need to do that first bit.
Exactly. And if you get onto hotel beds, have you noticed they put it right up to the top, as high as you can, tuck it all underneath, then put the cushions on top. So when you then have to move all the cushions and the pillows to peel the fucking thing back to get into bed. And then you've got to have that 20-minute fight to loosen the end where your feet go, so you don't feel like you're actually in a sarcophagus.
See, that's the one, mate. That's the worst thing about hotel bedrooms, right? When you get into bed and you feel like you've been fucking mummified because you can't get your feet out. I mean, it's not a problem to you because your feet come halfway down the bed, but to someone who's an average adult height, do you know what I mean? It's quite a tricky thing.
But it's true though. But why do they do that? Because you end up then having to kick your feet out, then you loosen the end of the bed, and the next night when you get back, they've actually tucked it all back in again because that's how hotel beds are made. They've
only done that to piss you off.
Yeah, I reckon.
Well, I can clearly see he doesn't like having his feet tucked in. Watch this. Stapling it shut. The issue I have is that my wife, and I'm glad I said all that stuff about how much I love her before I just went into a fucking tirade of abuse about her. But anyway, yeah, I do love her, but I don't think there's many women in this world who insist. I know I live in Ireland, but do you know what? We did go through a heat wave, didn't we? Yeah. Right? And when it was 34 in England, it was about 28 here.
It's a lot.
Still insisted on 2 duvets on our bed, and not just like the cushions that you get rid of. Slept under 2 duvets. Do you know what I mean? This woman, right, she's Irish and was brought up in Newcastle, a town city that is famous for people walking around with fuck all on in the winter. Yeah. So I don't know how this woman is constantly cold. But 28 degrees, right? So at night in that heat wave, it was probably 20 degrees overnight. Warm. 2 fucking duvets. Unbelievable.
We seem to have hit on a thing we both agree on here, like beds. There's a lot of politics in beds, isn't there?
Yeah.
And we don't do politics.
No, we don't. In which case, we need to stop talking about beds because politics is banned from this podcast, Baz. Right, Baz. I'd like your thoughts on this, Baz. I don't care how cool you think your restaurant is. Serve my food on a fucking plate.
Oh.
Right? I don't want my food on a shovel. I don't want it on a slate. I don't want it on a fucking breadboard, right? I want everything on a plate. I don't want me chips in a little fucking metal bucket, or even worse, in a tiny little version of a basket that goes into a deep fryer, right? Fuck off with all that. Just serve me food on a plate. If your food's good, I'll rate it. Stop fannying around with all this stuff. It's not cool. It's stupid.
So, in the most, I agree with you, because I've done the same thing where you go to, like when I was used to eat meat, we'd go to a steak place and they'd always have it on a chopping board, with the knife stabbed in the top of it, so you could cut it up yourself or cut more of it. And I guess those kind of places are they're kind of trying to add a bit of amusement and whimsicality to their food, because I quite like, and you'll disagree with you, when you get those things, a MasterChef where they serve a chicken and chips in a Kentucky Fried Chicken box. But that's for show. No, but that's literally for show, isn't it? There's no other reason why you'd have it.
No, I'm not having it. And it's just, I mean, there's a wider point as well. It's like there's a restaurant. There's a restaurant. I think it might be in Chorlton that's called the Laundrette, right?
Yeah.
Because the place used to be a laundrette. But do you know what? If you open a restaurant in an old laundrette or an old bank, you don't have to have that as the fucking theme for your restaurant forevermore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this place, it was called the Laundrette, and it had like all the names of the dishes were related to being a laundrette, and the price. The things that tell you like the allergens in it and stuff. They were all like washing symbols, and it was like, and the prices didn't say pounds. It was like the number of the dial of of the washing machine. No, seriously though, just fuck off, right? I'm not eating there, and I have never eaten there, just because I just think like themed restaurants are shit. In fact, the only good themed restaurant, and it is getting a bit tired now, but I still do like it, is those Karen restaurants.
Oh, I don't know this.
You've not seen the Karen restaurants?
No.
Mate, they are phenomenal. It's where the staff are deliberately rude to you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It started in America, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but it's like that. I think Australia as well.
Okay,
maybe. But yeah, I mean, there's one in Prestwich. I just love that. I love that. They just like you go in and say what, they throw the menu at you and say like, "Fuck do you want?" And it's my birthday. It's like, so we've all got birthdays. I just fucking love that. Really, really love it. Really love it.
Sex on the beach should remain a drink only. So only people, and this is any form of seafront as well. Anybody who's ever tried it will know it doesn't end well. It's a little bit like we spoke about before about the beach is a shit place to go for a swim, but it's even worse when you want to put your man vegetables on show and a bit of the ham sandwich as well. So it's
the ham sandwich.
Well, this is a TikTok thing now, isn't it? You must have seen the ham sandwich on TikTok.
I'm not on that side of TikTok, Baz.
Okay. Anyway, so this is oversharing. I've once done it on a Cypriot beach, which was largely volcanic rock. It ended up with scrapes and cuts and open wounds. Even
without hazards of that nature, Baz. I just think it's like there's a couple of things. Like one, it's just like nobody wants to be walking down the beach for a romantic hand in hand. Last night of the holiday, listening to the waves crash against the beach and see your pale ass bouncing up and down. Do you know what I mean? No one wants to see that anyway. So it's not just the fact that you're effectively rubbing sandpaper on your most sensitive parts. It's the fact that nobody needs to see that either.
The thing is, it's such a romantic notion as well. But the reality is, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bollocks. In the sea's all right, though. I've done it in the sea.
Okay.
Well, no one can see what you're doing.
But it's just the whole thing, isn't it? There's obviously still sand which wafts around in seawater, although obviously less. But
yeah, it's all right. It's all right in the sea.
Probably puts a new tilt on having crabs.
Yeah, there you go. You said that like sex on the beach should remain a drink. You're absolutely right. And it is actually quite a good one as well.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
It's like having a Sunny Delight that gets you pissed. It's brilliant. Baz, my first mildly controversial opinion this week is it's actually a piece of advice.
Oh, I like
There
this.
you go. Hey, I don't think we've done this before. This is like almost like public service, right?
I like this. Go on then.
I've got a piece of advice for people, and I'm talking specifically to people in London. We do get an indication of where our listeners are from, but it only goes to country level, so I don't know how many people I'm going to piss off on this. But anyway, if you live in London and you can't afford to get on the property ladder, I have the solution. Either don't live in London or don't get on the property ladder.
It's pretty sound advice, that.
Simple as that. And where I'm going with this, Baz, is that for some reason, British people are just fucking obsessed with owning their own home. Loads of very, very few countries certainly in Europe feel the same way. They don't see it as this big kind of rite of passage and almost like a human right to own your own house.
Yeah.
And you see these people are saying like, oh, house prices have gone up so far in London, I can't get on the property ladder. Well, don't then. Rent. Do you know what I mean? It's like, people talk like it's a human right to own your own home. I would argue it's not a human right. It's in a lot of situations, it's fucking stupid. Because we rent at the moment, and that's just because we moved to a new country and we didn't know where we wanted to live. So we're renting. One of our radios broke. You know what I did? Did I search through the internet trying to find a plumber? Did I go and price things up? Did I try and fix it myself? Did I do all it? Did I fuck? Contacted the landlady. It said the radiator's broken. Within a day, it was fixed. And it cost me nothing, right? There you go. Brilliant. But the other thing, Baz, right, is loads of people lose the shit about student fees. Yeah?
Yeah.
About people leaving, like, people in the UK lose the shit about student fees. We've got a number of American listeners, right? They're leaving university with like $150,000, $200,000 of debt, right? And everyone's going, oh, it's terrible. And it's like, it's terrible. I can't believe I've had to saddle myself with so much debt to go through university and get this degree. It's such a bad thing that I've got all this debt hanging over my head, right? Everyone says it's a really, really bad thing. Next thing, 10 years later, they're putting a Facebook status out celebrating the fact they've just fucking saddled themselves with £300,000 worth of debt. There's no difference. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, congratulations, well done. Everyone's congratulating them on Facebook, saying, oh, well done, brilliant. Oh, you've signed yourself up to a fucking lifetime of debt. It's like, why is that something to celebrate? The last thing I'll say before I'll get your input, Baz, is at the moment, interest rates are going up, right? Everyone's losing their shit about it. Saying, oh, my mortgage is going to cost this much more, it's going to cost me this much more, and blah, 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 right? If you rented your house, and instead of throwing loads of money into the house you live in, you invested it somewhere else, guess what? Interest rates going up's a good thing, because you're going to get more return on the money that you didn't throw into buying your own house.
They're all very interesting points, these are.
Thank you. What's your feelings, Baz?
Well, I agree with you. It is a weird thing that in this country, particularly more so than many others, that we're kind of. It's almost like like you said, it's a rite of passage. It's a thing where you're supposed to buy your own home. It's the natural progression of your growing up in the world.
You don't own your house.
No.
People go, oh, I'm a homeowner. No, you don't. You don't own the house. The bank owns the house. If you stop paying them back the money you borrowed to pay the house, it's theirs. And admittedly, you do have some people who live in certain parts of London and the property's gone up because it's become a desirable place and they can't afford to buy in that place, right? There are definitely areas of London you can afford to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah? There are definitely areas of London you can afford to buy a house in, right? You just don't want to. You want to live in an area that's too expensive for you to live in. Yeah. But that's life. That's what happens. Do you know what I mean? In 1983 or whatever, like Dubai was a fucking fishing village. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I think a lot of
there's loads of people can't afford to live there anymore. Do you know what I mean? They live somewhere else. It's like you could, if you live in London currently and you can't afford to buy a house in the part of London you want to live in, either rent Move out of London or stop being so fucking picky about the part of London you want to live in.
There you go.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect my summary to be that succinct. But that's where I'm finishing, Baz.
Well, I think once again, statement or not, I think I agree with you.
Right, my next one, Baz, is if you have ever said the phrase, you take me as I am, you either love me or you hate me, I've got news for you. Everyone hates you because you're a dick. Nobody in the history of humanity who is decent banter, good crack, call it what you want, nobody who is a good laugh and people enjoy their company ever needs to say, you love me or you hate me. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a really positive thing, really positive thing in terms of take me as I am, I'm not going to change for anyone, I have significant value in my self-worth. They're all really, really positive things. So that's not the discussion. The discussion is, if you have to say, take me as I am, love me or hate me, you only say that because there's a lot of people reacting to you being a dick. Because nobody who's really cool and everybody likes them goes, take me as I am, you either love me or hate me. Because they've never had people say they're a dick.
Well, that's kind of like almost going, I'm going to be a dick now, so just please accept the fact that I'm about to be a dick.
Yes, that is. It's a bit like an extension of no offense.
Yes.
And then they just say something hugely offensive.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because I kind of work on the opposite things. Like, if you don't like me, then I'll change.
That's because me and you are very needy.
That's exactly what it is.
And it's 100% fucking true as well.
I don't think I've ever said you have to accept me as I am, not to anybody in the world, because I'm like to go, well, if you don't like me, then I'll change.
You take me as I am, you either love me or you hate me. So if you said that either word for word or something along those lines, chances are you're a dick. Take a look at yourself in the mirror, start making changes, and maybe you won't need to say it anymore. And that's it for another week. Hopefully you enjoyed looking back on some of our favourite moments from the last year or so. Normal service will be resumed next week when Baz will be back. In the meantime, please do all the subscribe shit. So like, subscribe, share, review. If you're listening on the audio podcast, please click the button for auto downloads. All of those things cost nothing, but they really, really help grow the podcast. So thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next time.